General Hero tier list updated for the month of March 2024 for the game King God Castle. I update this tier list every month, so be sure to subscribe to keep up with that. And in this one, I'll be ranking the newest hero, Pharrell, as well. And I'll be in this video, I'm going to be going into another updated hero tier list for this month, boys. And Pharrell, and there's been a lot of changes. So if you are new here, we update this hero tier list every month, so be sure to subscribe. And we're going to be going down through tiers. The format is going to be the same. By popular demand, you guys wanted by tiers. I'm going to keep on doing that until majority doesn't want to see it that way. So by tiers, timestamps down below, and we're going to be going through it. There's a lot of freaking heroes. We're going to be making our way from bottom to top, and we're going to be going through it quick, and I'm going to give a brief explanation of each hero. So for the most part, there has been a few changes, especially in the upper and kind of in the mid section, but the bottom still remains the same. Let's get started. D tier. D can't have D tier without Daniel, you know what I'm saying? So Daniel, I mean, if you guys been keeping up on my list, the reasons are the same. Do I need to rehash it every freaking time? He needs changes. He is a beefy tank, and in short, there are better beefy tanks, and that's it. I'm sorry, he's one of the starting heroes, and just don't put anything, don't invest in him as of 2024, as of March and the date of this video. So next one is gonna be Kanak. Kanak, they have alluded in the future that they are having plans to change this guy, which is very good, but as of right now, the changes has not happened yet, so he is still D tier. But they have alluded in the future that they are going to be revamping or reworking this guy to be better, and hopefully the next D tier is on the plan as well to be changed, and that is Ophelia. And these two are very notorious for being kind of bad in the game, so these three always has been D tier, and in the future they may change, but it is still yet to happen. So that is it for D tier in my opinion. So now we're gonna go into C tier, and as a reminder, I should have said that at the beginning of the video, but this is a general hero tier list. I am considering, through all of my knowledge and experience with King God Castle, I'm just considering every single mode, every single hero comp, yes, raid mode as well, and towers and things like that. Probably expedition is like the one thing I'm not considering, because everyone can do expedition now, but I am considering everything, okay, and the comps and utility and just comparatively to other heroes in the game. So you might see a hero that is, oh, he is amazing in this mode, knob, and then he's garbage everywhere else, and that is why maybe in that case he might be A tier, for example, right? So just kind of telling you if you are new around here. So next one is going to be a hero long character, Alberon. Now Alberon is a very staple healer, and he brings really good heals, and he's a staple in raid for heals, right? But all because he's used as a support healing pick for raid doesn't mean he's S tier, and he's hero log, okay? We are past the days that, oh, he's hero log so he's S tier, or he's hero log so he's in a tier of his own. No, I'm gonna rank it based on what he brings. He literally just brings heals. His awakenings are pretty garbage, and that's all he does. He is the hero log character you start off the game with. He is fine, but if you want heals, you want Alberon, right? And then you pair him up with Bargy, and he goes to town. But other than the heals, I mean, he's in stun lock comps and banner comps and things like that, because his healing can overheal into shield, and that is his thing. So, but that's all he brings really, and if I'm judging it based on that, he's a C tier, boys. He is C tier. He has not moved in a very long time, if I remember correctly. Next one's gonna be Draco. I love Draco. Now they have buffed him a little bit, and he is I mean, I love Draco because he's dragon kin boy thing, and he flame spits and all that, and I'm not gonna give you guys the history like I usually do. I mean, if you guys want the lore and the history, just check out my past videos, my hero tier list. I kind of ramble on about the lore of each hero and the over time that I've been playing, but right now he is one of the older heroes. and they are continually trying to buff them to bring up to par to the other heroes. Power creep, for example, right? And he's always like, he used to be like an arena based hero, and then, you know, they changed arena, and then things got introduced, and he's not as great anymore. Now, there are some niche cases where you're like, oh, he just one-shots the front line and things like that, but he's just not the go-to, and is in this like, oh, he's an old hero needing to be reworked and buffed, but how do we do that kind of thing? He's there, right? So he is C tier, not that great, not really picked too much. Next one on the list is going to be Leica. So Leica is another hero lock character. You mostly see this guy in arena when Grand Arena buff favors him, but that only applies if you are 2,000 points above. But when Grand Arena favors him, you're going to be seeing this guy on teams 1,000% in arena. But other than that, he's not really played anywhere else. Other than that, you see him as a hero lock character, and that is it. He is also one of these legacy characters that they're trying to like make better to kind of match the current standard, and there's a current trend here because there's not many legacy heroes that kind of fall like up here, right? So yeah, Leica is just one of those heroes, boys. What can I say? Nabella is one. She's still C tier in my opinion. Now she feels better to use. They recently just buffed her, increased her spell power, but the thing is, damage was an issue, but her kit itself was an issue. And my issues with Nabella has always been that she is jumping to backline kill, right? And there are so many heroes in the game that can do that and even better. So why pick Nabella? And that is my issue with her. And they literally just buffed her stats, right? And that's it. And that's not gonna make me rank her any higher because I'm just gonna be picking other heroes, right? Unless they like increase her spell power like 100% or something, like something crazy, make her OP as mess to where I'm not picking the other heroes, right? And that it's just they need to re-kit her, man. They need to rework her kit. Next one is going to be Hela, a fan favorite. Unfortunately, I can't put her in D because it feels super bad, but like because of the introduction to the newest hero as of this video, Pharrell. There's literally no reason you should be picking Hela. No reason. I'll leave it at that. They buffed Hela recently and will continually buff her, but it is not enough. Like her kit is so similar to another hero that we'll be getting on later in the list that it's kind of like the Nabella situation. Like honestly, now that I look at this, it's the same situation. There is another hero that does the same thing and even better, right? And like I don't know what they're gonna do, boys. I really don't know what they're gonna do. But that is how that's why she's there, man. That is why she's there. Next one's gonna be Jupiter. I believe C tier and D tier are relatively the same. I don't quite remember. I didn't check my last tier list. So Jupiter is here. They did buff her range, but she's gonna need more than just a range buff. Funny enough, Hela was buffed recently. Nabella was buffed recently. Jupiter was buffed recently, but in my opinion, the changes that they made isn't enough because the issues is that they don't perform as well. There's just this another hero in the same archetype that does it better, and the kits are too similar. Like that's ultimately the same thing. So you can up the damage all you want, Awesome Piece, but you're gonna have to like make their damage like up the ceiling, right? Make them insanely broken to where these other broken heroes that are really played for the reasons that they are played, you have to make me not pick those heroes. And the only way to do that is to just overtune these heroes, the numbers, if you're just gonna not want to retool their kit, or retool their kit. I don't know, man. That is my take. All right, so that is C tier and D tier, the bottom of the list, and then we are gonna be heading into B tier, which is there are pretty good heroes, okay? All because every time I do this list, I have to say it, okay? All because the first one on the B tier list, by the way, is gonna be Bria, but all because I place B tier heroes does mean they're garbage. Okay, yes, they're not up here. I know everyone loves to see them. See your character S and A. Okay, S and A are like heroes that are really good, picked very often right now in the meta for various reasons, and they excel. B rank is like, okay, they're really good support, or they're a really good one-off, or they can excel based on some kind of certain conditions and things like that, and they're pretty good. They're good, like they do damage, they can clear chapters. Okay, all because they're a B tier doesn't mean they can't clear chapters. I have to say it, boys. I have to say it. Every time I do this list, people are gonna be, hey nub, B tier, what do you mean? Priya can clear chapter 10, 15, she should be S. That doesn't mean anything like that. Okay, just wanted to get that out of the way before we get into it. But Priya, a lot of these I believe there's some newcomers in this B tier, but B tier, like I said, I have to stress, pretty good heroes, pretty good damage. You should be solid in playing them. Okay, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Priya, really good stuns. People use them for her strife. She is one of the legacy characters as well, and she has received a lot of buffs, and she's pretty good. The only negative thing about her is that she has high mana, and she's super immobile, right? She has the highest costing mana in the game, I believe, is 120 mana, and that's a freaking lot of mana. And you pair her up with Bardry or use Mage Altar and things like that. She has AoE stun, and she is one of the heroes in the game that both of the awakenings are pretty good. Freezing armor has a lot of strategic value to it, and you can do interesting things with that. So a lot of personality there. So I like Priya, one of the original heroes. Next one gonna be another hero log, Agas. She is one of my favorite beefy tanks in the game. Really large health pool. If you want your team to survive, she will mitigate damage for your entire team. If you have her awakening, she will heal upon death, and she is extremely good at tanking. Now Agath, she's also a hero lock character now, and Agath is a really good reason why Daniel is pretty much out of service. Like, it's just Daniel does some things too, but like Daniel's archetype is a little weird. He's just an old character. Agath is newer, and she is, if I want to meet shield, I'm gonna picking Agath. I'm not picking freaking Daniel. You know, that is kind of the perspective. Okay, next one, another hero lock character, one of the newer ones to the mix in terms of like coining the hero lock tag. Isaac is very strong as well. Don't sleep on Isaac damage. She is really good. She is seen in arena, okay, and you usually don't see Isaac like solo carry builds or anything like that. So you can do it, and her damage is actually freaking bonkers. And don't sleep on her Link being able to transfer damage and like stuns and all of those effects, and she is really good. You typically see her in like a stun comp. So like you pair her up with Bardry, with an Alberon, and like a freaking Herang and things like that, and you go to town stunning people. So Isaac, very solid hero. Don't sleep on her. And then next one gonna be Baldir. Baldir is a little interesting because I think his kit is solid. It is pretty good, and he's kind of like in this middle road, right? Like the deer bear form thing, and he's just like, he kind of has like an identity thing. They're trying to balance his bear form with his deer form, and it's just kind of, I feel like regardless of what they do, I think he'll always be in the middle. Like he'll always be decent. I don't ever see him being like OP, because they have to balance both of his forms. And his deer form is pretty solid actually, but his bear form, I think his skill needs to be reworked. That's always been my main thing, and it just doesn't feel good using his bear form, to be honest. So I would like to see changes on him, but I think he is pretty decent. All right, next one's gonna be Behemoth. I love Behemoth. In a certain meta or anything in the game, he's like freaking S tier Behemoth gang, you know. I love Behemoth, but I think overall right now he's pretty good in the middle, but he's not like super S or anything as of right now, in my opinion. So B rank, yeah, B rank. Yeah, I like Behemoth so much. Like, he's like B plus, you know, like I said, like in my previous tier list videos, I would love to put like heroes like B plus or like A plus or C plus, you know, but I can't do it. But I'll just mention it, B plus in my opinion. The next one's gonna be Kayn. Kayn is an interesting one. So he is the only hero in the game that can generate items with his awakening ability, and it is mainly used in raid mode, or you can do it in invasion for, like, you know, farming items to get the leaderboards for invasion leaderboards. If you're into that, I'm not, but if you, depending on who you talk to, you're like, they're gonna be like, oh, Kayn is like double S tier, he can farm items in. If you talk to some of the raid guys, I know you guys, you know what I'm talking about, you talk to the raid guys and they're like, Kayn is S tier, boys, Kayn is S tier, and you're like, well, King not put him in B tier, I wonder why. Well, I will tell you, I'm just gonna say that there are a lot of perspectives in the game and a lot of opinions about the game. I mean, myself included. Okay, I've been playing a long time, and there are other people that have been playing as well. I know a few that have maybe played longer than I have and things like that, but you know, to each their own. Okay, you can look at it in a raid perspective. You can think, personally speaking, there are a lot of people that think raid mode is the de facto in game and everything should be based on raid power level. I'm not that. I'm definitely not of that camp. I used to do raid, I've been there, I've done that. Not for me. I ran it through the ground, got burnt out on it, and I am past that, boys. I am past that. And raid mode, in my opinion, is not the de facto mode that dictates the entire tier list and shouldn't be revolved around that. I'm considering literally every mode competitively, top 10, whatever, King God, you know, Tower Trials, you name it, Great Rift, Invasion. I'm considering everything, and because of his Kayn's ability to farm items and as a solo carry, and I like to use him as a solo carry, but he has issues, and you pretty much only use him for farming items, and it's a very strong effect, and because of that, he's B tier. Otherwise, he's like C, dude, in my opinion. So I'll give him like maybe B plus, maybe, because of his farming item uniqueness, right? So B, maybe B plus is where I sit on him. Next one's gonna be Kathy. I love Kathy. She is a lot of damage. When she's in the meta, she's very oppressive, and she has a great, in my opinion, a great battle pass skin and cool design. Bang bang bang, gunslinger. What can you not like? It's just that she's not really in the meta right now, and there are better damage dealers. See, you'll see a common trend where there are a lot of damage dealers in this game, and it's just, you know, you're gonna pick the person that bursts better, right? So right now Kathy is pretty good, just not like SA tier good right now, but pretty solid pick. I love that hero. Next one, Chang'e. Now Chang'e, ooh, Chang'e. Okay, I think maybe Chang'e. Okay, so Chang'e is very interesting because she is one of the older S characters who has been ups and downs over the past few years, and she's been buffed and things like that. Well, she was nerfed, and then she was like buffed and buffed and buffed and trying. She's like these legacy characters, right? That like they're trying to continually increase her power level, right? She's on uptrend now in Strive Battlefield. I called this in my Strive Battlefield patch update, my latest one as of this video, and right now it's gonna be some damage reduction, Chang'e, right? And she is on the rise, and she feels pretty freaking good playing in like arena as well. I'm not gonna freaking lie, but other than that, she is soft. So I think I still will put her B plus. Okay, B plus. She feels really good, and I think like another buff will put her maybe in like A territory, maybe, but she is one to look out on. Next one is gonna be Gidnil, the current battle pass skin as of the recording of this video in March 2024, and spell shields, right? And his spell shield is kind of unique. Well, I would say pretty unique. It is only for him, and he can share it with his teammate when awakened. But other than that, which the spell shield is pretty iconic and very necessary for some of the competitive things like Tower of Trials and things like that. You can do interesting strategic value with his ability, and because of that, he is B tier. Other than that, he is freaking garbage, man. If you are starting out and you got good nil and you're like, nah, put him at B tier, and you don't have him, he's at level 1, don't use this guy. He is freaking F tier without awakening. Like, he's punch man. Like, that's all he does is punch. And you need him awakened. So yeah, just because of that, he's just B tier. The fact that if he's not awakened, he's actually worse than Daniel Kanak. Like, he's literally, okay, he literally does nothing. Zero. Okay. So I have to put him in B tier. He's like, oh no, Spell Shield is so good in Tower of Trials. He's so iconic. Well, if you don't have him awakened, like, he's like useless, right? And that's the fact that I'm also considering. And the power of Mighty Block is so strong as well, that Spell Shield isn't really needed most of the time. It is useful, okay, in some aspects, but the Mighty Block exists as well. So it's another story if Mighty Blocks were like trash and Spell Shield has more value, right? So all things considered, he's still B tier. Next one, Joel. And I've always made fun of Joel being like budget Kirdan, and I still feel like he's like budget Kirdan. I've never really been a Joel fan, but I do admit that he is one of these legacy characters that are on the rise. So I think B, potential B plus, right? And potential kind of a little higher, but I'm even surprised that he's at B tier, right? So B tier Joel, budget Kirdan, as I joke around, and yeah, B tier. Next one's gonna be Mercil. Mercil, has been like the queen of Arena back in the day, and then Arena kind of got changed and things like that. She is not as dominant as before, but she has a damage booster effect that is used in raids and all of that stuff, and she has Druid over time. It's tick-based healing, is not. So the difference between like Mercil heals and Alberon can overheal into shield. Mercil is tick-based healing and it does not overheal. So it's like AoE, like there's like a grass thing and it ticks heal, and it is pretty effective, but just not as OP as it once was. Next one is going to be Rahak. Boom. His identity is mainly for damage boosting with his awakening. One, he throws out 2 freaking birds and it applies the damage boosting to 2 targets, so that he is very iconic in using it for the hero raid boss with the 4 spire thing. So you put Rahaks, on the right side, so Mel can hit on the left side, for example, for the 2 spires, and you get damage boosting on both. And if you're crazy, you can put 2 Rahaks on both sides, put damage boosting on all 4 spires, and you can kind of see his usages, right? But not only is he used for like damage boosting, his own damage is actually pretty freaking strong. Don't sleep on Rahak damage. If you want to make him like a main carry, dude, he can be shredding folks, and you will see him in Arena like giant comps for sure, and he does a lot of damage. So there was a time when like Rahak was Kanak memeable, and it is pretty funny to see that he's actually not there anymore. He used to be one of the worst characters in the game, by the way. Next one's gonna be Rosette. I love Rosette. I love her battle pass skin, especially the Death Knight theme. She got a lot of buffs over time, and she's in a really good spot in my opinion. Pretty good meat shield and a damage booster. It's funny, there's 3 damage boosters in a row. She is one of the highest ones in the game, and used in raid mode as well. You can do like dunk builds, one shot dog boss in Tower of Trials and things like that. It's pretty funny, and she has potential, and her awakenings are pretty good as well, and she's just a solid tank damage booster, right? So there it is, Rosette. Next one on the list is going to be Taybec. Taybec, where is he? Taybec, boom. Taybec. His thing is kind of similar to Gidnil. So you have to have Taybec awakened, boys. If you don't have Taybec awakening, he is like D tier, all right? And the reason why is because one of his awakenings, awakening 2, the right one, will, when he uses skill, he becomes invincible for the duration of his channel, right? So if you're unfamiliar with what Tayback does, he taunts, he does an AoE taunt, okay, basically, and then he just channels, right? And the thing is, if you don't have him awaken, if he dies during his channel, he'll just die, right, normally. But if you have him awaken when he's channeling taunting, he will not die for the duration of the taunt, right? And that is why he's so OP. So you can put him in the back. If you can get him to insta-cast at the beginning of round, things will go after him. He won't die until, after he casts, he will die. But you can do AoE taunt at the beginning of round and force people to run towards him. There's other mechanics as well, but I'm not going to get to it in this video. But it is a very iconic effect that you should be aware of to put in your teams for strategic value and to be aware of. And because of that, he used to be freaking OP. They've nerfed it quite a bit, but he is still very strong. And it is still relevant, okay? It's just, I will say, is not as relevant as in the past. So that is why he's B tier, but similarly, again, if you don't have Tayback Awakening, like this is the thing. I put Tayback in B tier, and people are like, "What the heck? This guy is straight garbage." Because you're not using this guy for damage. I know he has like a damage awakening. Don't even worry about that one. He is not a damage dealer, boys. And a lot of people are like, he's trash. Why is he B tier, right? He's like F tier. You need him awaken, okay? And that effect is so iconic. It's like a comp identity, so he's B tier. You need him awakened and Tayback. Next one's gonna be Yan. Yan is one of these older characters as well that has been up and coming. She does a lot of freaking damage, awakening 2, and that is what you're gonna be using, and she is pretty freaking good in my opinion. Not like A tier good, but she is pretty freaking good now, right? So water bolos, healing, a lot of freaking damage as well, can't go wrong. Next one's gonna be Shilda. She is one of the beginning tanks in the game that you should be probably investing. There's another tank, I'll put him in there. Leo, my boy Leo, the other tank that's you start with, right? So in the past, like you would put like you would kind of level up Leo to like level 8 and kind of keep him there, but I would actually say the time has changed and you should probably put everything into Shota, because I would not level up Leo until it's leave him low level, okay? Shota, on the other hand, if you awaken Shota, she is a very strong tank, very strong, because she can generate her own mighty blocks, and she is really like, if you're needing a tank for chapter 9, for example, the Frost guys, the very annoying chapter, she is the de facto tank for that front line for that mode, right? And yeah, I mean, what can I say? Shilda generates her own mighty block, and if you can generate your own mighty block, you are very strong. She is potentially B plus in my opinion, but it kind of feels bad putting her here, but she's like potentially B plus, but B overall. Now, next one's gonna be, oh man, one of my personal favorites, Zhao Yun. Now, Zhao Yun, and I gotta bring up the raid mode, again. So raid mode, Zhao Yun, Blood Boss. He's been the staple forever. Okay, he's been the meta. Stack some stuff. Get him high spell power. Get up to that 60 attack speed, and have him go zoom in, right? And you'd be like, nah, he is raid staple, he should be S. Well, I am Zhao Yun's my favorite design character probably in the game, and I did main him in arena back in the day, and he doesn't excel anywhere else but raid. Really? Well, I mean, maybe Tower Trials. There's some because of he's a melee unit that is plus 1 range or whatever, right? Innately, right? And it's kind of unique, right? Not many heroes kind of have that thing, because he's like a spear wielder, for example. There's some interesting positional strategies you can do, like in Tower Trials or things like that you can use Zhao Yun for, and he is hella raid staple, right? But outside of raid, everything considered, okay, boys, I had to put him in B, man. Had to put him in B. Just know that he is raid staple for like blood boss now, right there, and there's better options overall, and he's just B. One of these legacy characters as well. I love Zhao Yun, but even as a Zhao Yun lover, he's B tier, man. He's B tier. Next one's gonna be Elizabeth. Now she is a very great, she's a tank void stacker. Now if you don't know what void is a relic that you can get in the game, and you essentially stack these void stacks to power up your team upon allied death. Now Elizabeth summons these golems that can trigger that, right? So that is why it's so OP. And the unique thing about Elizabeth is that she can trigger the deaths of her golem to self void stack, if that makes sense. And she is the only one that can do that right now, and she can actually trigger it manually, right? And she's a pretty decent, she has like this taunt thing in her kit as well, which is extremely strong. But because she doesn't start with 100% mana. I feel like if she started with 100% mana without needing mage altar or anything like that, she would be A tier in my opinion. But since she doesn't do skill at the beginning of the round, she's B in my opinion. But her kit is extremely strong. There's like this innate taunt, she can manually trigger void stacks, and she's a great void stacker, and she is raid staple in my opinion. And I can't put her in A tier, man. Maybe B plus, maybe B plus. I can't put her, even considering all that, I can't put her, yeah, B tier, B tier, B tier. Next one, I have to put Evan down here, boys. He's knocking down with the new edition with chapter 2.1, aka chapter 11. He's B tier. He's being power crept. It does not feel good playing Evan anymore, in my opinion. So there are, I will tell you, you guys are watching my videos, you will go into the Discord or like ask who should I get, and people will say Evan. Those guys that say Evan are living in an old time. And I will tell you, like I said, I will reiterate this for you guys, that in King God Castle, a lot of players jumped into the game at different points in time. So depending on when they started playing King God Castle, your perspective is skewed a certain way. Now, I've been playing for a while, and yeah, my perspective is skewed, but I am very confident that I can kind of look at the overall picture over time and kind of put my best foot forward to be fair to these heroes. Of course, it is my opinion, right? So you can listen to whoever you want to, but just know that a lot of people will say Evan, and just know that their perspective is that they came in when Evan was like the thing, right? And then you have like the Ian guys, right? And then you have the Victoria level 8 guys, and then you have the Mel guys, and then you have like, oh, Jupiter, and then the Hellas, and you know, people want to meme Kanak and Ophelia and spread false information and things like that. So take it what you will, and just know that there are a lot of opinions, okay? Even mine, this is my opinion, of course, and you guys can, you know, up to you guys if you guys want to listen to it or not, but I try my best to be unbiased as possible and kind of give you guys the real truth. So that is it. So in my opinion, Evan, it has fallen off ever since chapter 2.1 or chapter 11 got released, and he is being power crept up the wazoo. And then the next one is going to be Armis. Now I believe Armis, so Evan and Armis are the two quote-unquote carries that you start with at the beginning of the game. So right now it is actually kind of difficult to invest in one of these to go through all the way through, right? Because in the past you can, like, I would say well, it was Armis at the beginning, and then Evan, right? And then Evan, the reason why you had to choose between these two guys, okay? And the reason why people said Evan of recent, like, you know, like a year ago or so, is because Evan can do chapter 10-15 way better than Armis, right? And that is why people recommend Evan. But with the newest edition of the latest chapter 2.1 / chapter 11, you can't confidently say Evan anymore, because if you're investing in Evan throughout the whole freaking time, you're not going to be able to farm chapter 2.1, right? So there's going to be a point when you are working your way up into the chapters from chapter 1 to 10, You have to commit to one of these. I would pick Evan. Okay. And you're just gonna have to hope you get a better carry. In my opinion, you're just gonna have to hope you get a better carry. But Evan is still the go-to at the beginning. Okay, so don't let that perspective confuse you. That is why people say Evan still. Okay, out of the 2 heroes that you pick without gacha involved, Evan, up until chapter 10. I mean, he's gonna struggle in chapter 9. People will say, yeah, Evan can do chapter 9. They're lying to you. That's just how it is. Okay, I don't know how else to spell it to you guys, but pretty much power creep. Power creep. And Armis, same way, but I believe I ranked Armis at C tier or something last time. Maybe. I don't freaking remember, but with the newest edition of the new relic, the little Dwarven scope thing, dude, Armis with that thing is like any range carry. There's like this resurgence of range carry kind of because of that freaking relic, and it feels really good to play range carries with that relic. So Armis is one of them, and it is pretty freaking strong in my opinion, and he feels a lot better. Let's go back to Leo. I didn't really talk about Leo here. So Leo, I'll put him down here. So Leo, he is a tanky character, and he's been, like I said, if you mainly in arena, he's a solid tank, and he's being used a lot in arena because he has a high health pool, a lot of damage mitigation, and if you amplify his health, he has a lot of freaking health, super tanky, hard to kill, right? And if there's a giant, he shines mainly in arena. Okay, I'll just say that shines in arena mainly, but he's being used a lot more often. Definitely better than the C tier heroes in terms of usages and things like that and relevance. That I wanted to put him in B. Next one is gonna be another range carry. Is gonna be Hanzi. Ooh, Hanzi fans rejoice. Because of the newest relic, similar to Armis, she feels really good, and she got buffed recently, so she feels really, really freaking good, boys. Like, she actually feels pretty good with that dwarf scope relic. It is pretty freaking effective. I believe that is it for B tier. Man, B tier is going to be the main bulk of it. Okay, so now we're going to move to A tier. We're going to be moving. It's always going to be Neria first. So Neria is very strong. Invisibility. There are things like target. She is also percent based, and she does a lot of bursts. Very seen in arena lately because she can stack void, and her range is long, and she can execute essentially, right? And she has like this invisibility thing that can mess up targeting and pathing and things like that, and is very strong. She is in a really good spot, and it is kind of funny because she had a pretty rough release. She didn't feel that great, and now is very good to see that she is in a pretty good spot. And I love I love her design, like Bloodborne type of thing. So yeah, next one on the list is gonna be Tayson. Let me get the Tayson here. So Tayson, he's like A plus in my opinion in terms of usages, but overall just A tier. He is, the reason why he's really strong is because he is a tank, beefy tank, but also does really a lot of damage, and he has a unique mechanic that his damage is based on how much protection he has, and it's kind of insane. Now a lot of people, what he's being used for is that his skill can CC a lot of people and does like a pullback, right? And if you can get him to activate skill at the beginning of round through percent MP from items or mage alter effects and things like that, he flourishes, right? Like, he does AoE, and you just put 2 or 3 on your team and you CC the entire board. And he is used a lot in Stripe Battlefield right now. That is the reason why, to CC the enemies. And you can do stun lock, pair him up with Bardry, and you go to town, and very good damage as well. And he is just the go-to. Like, he is literally, you see him everywhere, man. You usually see him you see him like in Great Rift as well, like solo carry Tayson, but that only really works with like low phases. You're not going to be doing P15 Great Rift Tayson solo, you're not going to be doing that. But he is very good. His kit is very good, very unique, and very reliable, and very useful. So Tayson. And next one's going to be Zhao Bai, his brother. And people will put him in S. Okay, I know. Zhao Bai is like the freaking Sephiroth of freaking King of Castle, or like the Virgil. Okay, everyone loves Samurai Guy large freaking sword, and freaking zoops around the freaking map and does a lot of damage. Okay, everyone loves that kind of character archetype, and unfortunately I can't put him in S. Okay, he has freaking issues, and I don't think he's S tier, boys, but I can't deny that he is very strong, very catchy looking, visually stunning. He has one of the best skins in the game, the Zalbai Lightning God. I'm not sure if you can get it anymore, by the way, but I might be wrong, but get it before it runs out if it's still around. But he has one of the best skins in the freaking game. It's very flashy, samurai sword guy. I get why he's a fan favorite. He's not S tier in my opinion. You can get CC'd, like he's just super glass cannon. He needs to, they need to bring back, he used to be extremely OP, okay, like SSS when he at one time, and then they nerfed him, right? They made him more glass cannon, and the more health, they need to give him a bit more health. But the thing is, it's a balancing thing. If they give him too much health, he's just gonna be dominant, right? And it's hard to stop. So it's a balancing thing with him, but he is not quite S tier, but for good reason. If he was S tier, it's broken, right? So that is that. Next one is gonna be Herang. Now Herang, I used to put him in S. Now he does have S tier stuns. Don't get me wrong, but just considering everything, it feels bad to compare him to S tier with other stuff that I'm putting up there, right? Just comparatively, right? In the same tier. But if you want stuns, you do Herang, man. You do freaking Herang. Pair him up with Bardry. Infinite stuns galore. If you haven't tried Herang in Arena before, try him out. Try him out. You will stun the team, stun log, pair him with Bardry, okay? That's enough said. Stun man. He does some damage as well, but you're definitely not going to be seeing him as like a damage dealer. Next one's going to be Lily, another hero lock character, very staple tank, a very fan favorite. She's cute. She has a golem. She has a unique mechanic of when she dies on the golem, then she will leap off and dismount, and then when she gets her mana back up, she will remount on her golem Shasha, and then go to town. And her awakening for the AoE stun, her awakening 1 is very good as well at the start of round, and she is a very, very good tank, and chapter 10 staple tank for sure. The next one's gonna be Mara. Now in the past I put Mara in S tier, and it's because she is the de facto, like she's everywhere, man. She's everywhere. But it's kind of similar to Herang and things like that. Like if I put her in S tier and I can like look at the rest that I'm putting in S tier, like it just feels bad. So I have to put her in A, like A plus. Okay, A plus. I'll give her A plus. She is literally everywhere. If you see Void Relic, you see freaking Mara. Now she is also a damage booster for raid. Like if you want to use her for damage booster, I mean you should be using Illusion or other one, but she has a damage boosting awakening as well. Her Illusion is the one that is mostly used. It duplicates herself, does a stun, provides a mighty block for herself, and she can reapply that. And she is a great void stacker as well. Obviously she needs to die. She can't manually trigger it like Elizabeth, but she is very good. Can cause some pathing stuff as well. You usually see her a lot, pretty much in everywhere, man. If you see Void Relic is used quite often everywhere. You see Mara, right? And she is such a staple. Mara, man, she's a very good round 1 hero for Arena as well. And what can I say? Next one's gonna be Tia. Now Tia, it feels bad if I put her in S, but she is very strong. One of the range carry heroes that are up in the upper echelon of the tier list, and it is because she actually can move. She's not immobile like Hanzi or Armis. If there's a unit near her, when she does her skill, she can like leap back and like reposition herself, and no one really does that, and that idea in itself puts her up there, right? And it helps that she is the staple for Blacksmith Great Rift, right? That she's staple. When you think of Blacksmith altar setups for Great Rift, P15 or whatever, it can do any phases, is the most OP in the world. 1 living sword, 2 bombardment. I know you guys been following me in my new to pro and things like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. 1 living sword, 2 bombardment is the staple build you need to know in Great Rift. Probably one of the things that you need to know in Great Rift, and it's super fun to play. Tia, 1 living sword, 2 bombardment, Great Rift, Blacksmith. you go to town, right? And it's you can unlock all phases of Great Rift with that build alone. And yeah, I mean, Tia's very strong, very staple, and because that build is so staple, I have to put her in A, man. I had to put her in A. In my go-to. Next one, Estia. Now Estia is super strong, a lot of utility, does heal, scales off of attacks base. She has some unique mechanics and gives other knockback, and her utility and like her kit and what she brings is so strong. I had to put her in A. Like, she is incredibly strong, pretty strong in arena as well. And what can I say? She can be a utility pick and a like carry as well. And she does a lot of freaking damage. Don't sleep on her damage. Next one's gonna be Rai. Yeah, there you go, Rai. Now I had to put her in A plus, man. A plus. She's fallen off for me. But it is undeniable that she is strong. Okay, she is very strong, but I think she's fallen off a bit. And I think she's like A plus. She is a void stacker, one of the summoners in the game, dolls, and they because they buffed her to where her skill cast is based on attack speed, or scales off of attack speed rather. She just went bonkers at some point, and she is coming back a little bit in Stripe Battlefield. A lot of people used her in Stripe, but then Ren was used, and now Ren is kind of like in this middle where she's kind of balanced now. But Rai is still really good in Great Rift. She's a great Void. She's still very strong in Arena with, like, you know, the Void grenade builds and things like that. And people still, she's a raid meta for hero boss. So she is like A plus. If I had to put her, it's like A plus. It just feels bad for me to put an S. So A plus for me. Next one is going to be Inrath. Now Inrath was my go-to for chapter farming. Now because he can't really do the newest chapter 2.1 / chapter 11, and because of that he's not as dominant in the entirety of Invasion, considering chapter, you know, season 2, he's A tier. Now he is OP in round 1, round 2 arena. He's still OP in arena. He's still OP in chapters of what. He's still my go-to for chapters 1 and 10, right? 1 through 10, I'm playing Inrath, man. Super brain dead. Very unique mechanic. What can I say? As much as I love Inrath, I think it feels better to put him in A. All right, last one for the A tier is going to be Bami. Now, with the introduction of the Dwarven Scope, you know, like Armis kind of went up from that. Hanzi went up from that. Now Bami went up from that. Man, he is, with that relic, dude, like, he is shredding people like no one's business. And it is so strong on him. And because of that freaking relic in particular, I had to put him in A tier. He is so freaking strong, man. He was strong before. You know, you guys know me. I'm a Bami freaking fan. And because of that relic, he's so much better. He's literally so much better. It is, he just shreds you so hard, right? So I had to put him in A tier. He's one of the better. He's probably one of the best range carries in the game. One of them, right? Like these range carries up here, like Neria, Tia, Bami, is better than the other range carries in the game for sure. All right, that is it for A tier. Now we're going to be going for S tier. Now, S tier, let's start with the Link hero. So, Lunaire is the OG Link hero. She is staple, gives you... Now, just to prime you, before I get into this, these are Link type heroes, okay? And these guys are hero lock, all right? And you can only have one Link type hero on your team. So from these three, you have to pick them, okay? And you're like, nah, what are the differences, right? That is a little confusing to tell you, but I can tell you on a surface level, but I will leave it up for you to kind of figure out the nitty-gritty details yourself. But pretty much, Lunaire was the OG, and then I'm just going to put him on here, okay? Lunaire was OG, then Mono was released, then Serang was released. It was she's the latest one, okay? So these three are Link type heroes, and the reason why they're called Link type heroes is because when you put them on the board, you will see a visual indicator that they will link to a hero that is near proximity. Only one, okay? And when the round starts and when they do their skills, they will buff that linked hero, right? And usually you want to link to your main carry, right? So just a little bit before I get into it. So Lunaire has been the OG buffing Link type hero, and she buffs attack and spell power. All right, and her main thing is that she actually gives the Link type hero a mighty block or mighty blocks, and this is really important, you can stack Lunaire's on a single carry. That is why you see Lunaire a lot in raid mode. Okay, now Mono only buffs attack damage, and the percentage is a bit higher. All right, and his unique thing is that he can heal the Link type hero, and depending on the awakening, can remove CC. And the really main aspect of him is that he applies movement speed and damage reduction to the Link type hero. Okay, those are his bullet points essentially. Then Serang, the third one, it buffs spell power and is a bit more spell power, and she gives mana to the Link type hero. It can potentially cause them to instant cast at the beginning of round and gives some spell amplification. All right, so those are the bullet points of these 3 heroes. Now you will be like, Mob, which one do I use, right? And pretty much Lunaire, you can't go wrong with Lunaire. If you are using an attack-based hero, then you would want Mono. If you're using a spell power-based hero, you would want to use Serang. Now that is the rule of thumb. Now if you don't want to think about it, just do Lunaire. That is my best bet. Or go around and ask and find out yourself, okay? It kind of gets confusing when you don't know, but there are differences and there are usages for each. And these 3 are very strong for very different reasons and very different usages, right? For example, Serang is the only other battery unit in the game that can actually, like, this idea of giving mana, right? Mono, damage reduction, mighty block, and just overall stacking Lunaire, right? You can't stack these. You can only have one linked Serang linked to a hero, right? And you can only have one linked Mono for a hero. They cannot stack, but Lunaire, you can stack them. So that's kind of like the give and take, right? And I'll let you guys figure that one out yourself. So next one is going to be, speaking of battery unit, the one de facto battery unit in the game, AoE battery unit, giving mana to your whole team, Bardry. She is S tier mana. What can I say? You pair her up with any hero. If you need mana, you pair her up with anybody. Any stun. It's perma stun. Pair her up with like Alberon, you get like insta heals, like it heals up the wazoo. Cool. So pair her up with Herang, instant freaking, like you're not moving, right? So next one is going to be some carries. Oh, everyone likes carries, right? Next one on the list is going to be Ian. Now Ian, percent based damage. What can I say? A lot of these heroes in S tier, at least the damage carries, except for a few, but they are percent based damage. That means that their damage ceiling is up the wazoo and does a lot of damage, a lot of burst, and no one else can really do that. So Ian is another one that's been nerfed to the ground, and he is still really good. So very raid staple, can still smack people around, and everyone likes a big sword guy, right? So Ian, next one's gonna be Mel, staple, sword. You know, like Mel is, when you think of kinggodcastle, you think of Mel, right? One of the first few heroes that you think of, right? And she is the Wanderer. Very cool. You go Super Saiyan mode. When you do the skill, you have a big sword, you slash around, do a lot of damage. She's not going to be your solo, invasion farmer, but she is a staple for like raid mode, and she is percent base as well, so she can dish out some damage. You get plus attack on her. She's going to town. Great rift staple as well. And what can I say? Next one is going to be Círdan. Man, my Círdan, man. They haven't nerfed him, man. They haven't nerfed him. Now, he feels really good. I don't think he needs to be nerfed, but it's kind of surprising that they released him. He was that good. He is still really good. And they haven't touched him, man. They haven't touched him. He is 30 mana, 2 auto attacks. He does a spin. He goes to the back line, and he shreds people. And his awakenings are really good. He's super tanky, and he has CC immunity. Like, it's just crazy. His kid has everything. I don't understand. And he hasn't been nerfed, boys, which is interesting. Now, next one. I am not a Victoria fan. I'm telling you guys, I'm not a Victoria fan. Now, there was that Victoria level 8 stuff that was floating around. I mean, I'm not on that train, but I can't deny her damage and ability to burst. Like her damage on her first hit, like even at low levels, is absolutely freaking bonkers. And I have to give credit where credit's due, right? And she is staple in like Tower of Trials challenges and things like that. Her damage scaling and it's just her damage. Like her damage is freaking insane. And she can be like, she's the pub noob stomper in Arena. That I can't tell you, like that. I don't know how else to say it, right? She is smacking noobs in Arena for sure. She can be pretty oppressive if you don't know how to deal with it. But I have to give credit where credit's due. I think she is S, right? She can do some stuff that a lot of heroes can't do, and she can be very hard to stop, right? So, S tier. Next one is going to be Ren. Now, Ren fans rejoice. Because of Strive Battlefield, she is on a tear, man. I think she's really good. Pretty solid choice for like, you know, Tower Trials if you're just trying to like pass it for the first time, like as a noob account. Ren like level 8 is really good as well. You can do that, like, you know, Void Relic. You're not gonna really see her in Arena or things like that. She's not a great farmer either, and she's not really great anywhere else. But because of how prevalent she is in Strive Battlefield, and she's useful as well, and she generates her own mighty block. And I always said that, like, if you can generate your own mighty block, you're pretty on the upper echelon, right? So for me, Ren is like S tier, but like I would say like A plus, like really close. But I figured I'd just put her in S tier because she's so prevalent, right? So she's like teeter-tottering this A plus S tier for me. Just know that she's like flip-flopping, right? But I think it's pretty good to put her in S because of how much she's actually freaking used, right? She's used a lot, right? So specifically in Strive Battlefield. So she's useful in some other ways in some other areas. So the last one in the S tier, boys, it is Pharrell. I am ranking him S tier. I think a lot of people would rank him in S tier. Now, I have to say that he has weaknesses. He has glaring weaknesses. He doesn't excel everywhere, okay? But because of how much damage he actually pushes out, and can clear things pretty easily, very annoying in Arena, and the next Grand Arena buff actually favors him, is gonna be even harder to kill, and he does even more damage. It is very hard to stop, and just based on damage and numbers, he is up there, dude. He has one of the I think he has the highest spell power in the game as of the recording of this video, and he has he has survivability, does a lot of freaking damage. And what can I freaking say? He can do chapter 2-1, aka chapter 11, really freaking well. And he is one of the first design heroes that they are releasing when the new chapter 2 season got released. So for example, when Awakenings in chapter 10 was released, the heroes that were introduced to the game was based on those designs specifically in mind. So with the newest chapter 2-1, or the new season 2, chapter 11 is introduced, all of these heroes that are being introduced are having in mind the difficulty and the things down in the pipeline that they have planned is based on those ideas, right? So these new heroes that they're introducing has to have a lot of freaking damage, right? And you have to check out these kits that these new heroes will have, because those new heroes are designed that way with the later chapters in mind, right? So you have to keep that in mind. It's very interesting to see. So Pharrell is one of those newest heroes with those new designs in mind, and he does a lot of freaking damage. And all I gotta say is power creep, boys, power creep. And he does a lot of freaking. I like him a lot. I love his look. I love his design. He does a lot of damage. He's pretty fun to play. My only gripe with him is like visually is that his skill kind of lacks that oomph, right? Like it kind of lacks, like he does a lot of damage, but like his skill kind of, it feels like you're poking at somebody, right? And I wish it was a little more flashy, but that is my only complaint. But that is it for my general hero tier list for March 2024. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with it? Tell me what you disagree with. And as always, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and be sure to subscribe for the next updated hero tier list. And I'll see you next one, boys. Later.